Hello, and welcome to Maybe I Can, exploring possibilities one sprinkle at a time. If you've ever found yourself asking, is this all there is to life? Then you're in the right place. I'm Debbie, author, speaker, entrepreneur, and coach. And every Tuesday, I'm here to share a sprinkle of hope and inspiration. Together, we'll uncover the more joy, more fulfillment, more prosperity, more fun. We'll share stories of transformation, actionable tips, and that little nudge you need to take the next step. So let's embark on this journey of discovery and say, maybe I can, to a life filled with more. Ready to find out? Let's get started. The Maybe I Can show starts now. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Maybe I Can podcast. I'm your host, Debbie Weiss, and I am thrilled to be joined today by Dr. Theresa Skaar. She is a Ph.D. in social psychology, is certified in mind-body medicine, and is a qualified mindfulness-based stress reduction instructor. Drawing from a unique blend of academic expertise, personal experiences, and evidence-based research, Dr. Theresa illuminates the transformative potential of mindfulness in navigating the complexities of aging, death, dying, grief, and body image. She provides a safe space where you can explore these profound aspects of the human experience, fostering growth and healing along the way. So, Dr. Theresa, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here.
So I'm going to ask you my signature question, which is, can you tell us about a time where you went from a defeated I can't attitude to an empowered maybe I can mindset?
Oh, that is such a good question. I love it. Okay. Let's see. Let me rifle through the brain. A defeated. Okay. The first thing that comes to mind is that years ago, I had been working at an engineering firm for over a decade, and I decided to change and go to a small, like headhunter, family-owned place. And I was like, I just need a change. And because things had changed at work and purpose, and I had lost my grandma, and there was all these things going on. So I was like, I need a change. And I moved to this company, and Debbie, I cried almost every day. I hated it so much. And then I was so bogged down that I couldn't even look for another job. Like, it was just like that. Defeated is a great word. And so it was just this ugh. And most days I cried. Well, not many people have, I don't know everyone's stories, but there was an economic downturn, and going into 2009, the bosses kept having these closed-door meetings, and Debbie, I would just be like, lay me off. Yeah, I would stare at their door, whispering, lay me off. Yes. And then they did. And so, and I know that there was a lot of hardship, but for me in that moment, it was like I almost was so down that it was hard for me to take my own action. So that was then the catapult. And my husband, Charlie, who I talk about a lot, but he was like, yeah, well, while you're laid off, why don't you go back to school? So as a grown-up, I got to go back to college full time and finish my undergraduate degree, which I never thought that I would. And then in the course of that, I met an advisor and a mentor, and her name is Carrie. So shout out Carrie. She kept asking me about grad school, and I had gone back to the engineering firm, my original, the one I had been at for so long. And I was like, nah, I've got a good job. And then things started changing there. And I said, okay, tell me, how do I go to grad school? Because that was not in my family. I mean, my sister and I are first generation college students, but not, advanced college, get out of here. Come on. So then I applied, and I did all the steps that she had said to do, and I got into grad school. So I got my Ph.D. I was 44 when I started and graduated when I was 51. And here we are today. Thank you so much. Yeah. So that was my defeated to maybe I can. And I really, well, maybe I can.
You're not kidding. I mean, especially at that point in life, it could have been so easy for you to just say, oh, who wants to do this? It's too late. What am I going to do? Start a career halfway through my life? I mean, did you always know? Did you, were you majoring in psychology in undergrad? Is that, you knew that's the direction you wanted to go?
In my windy path, that's where I ended up. That's kind of, if you, most of my bookshelf is, a lot of like in the self-help genre, or in that kind of like, how can I be a better person, or how do I understand myself? So I was always drawn to that type of work. And so, yes, my undergrad was in psychology. And then I, my graduate degree was in social psychology.
And is that when the whole mind, body, and mindfulness practices started for you, or did you always have those in your tool belt, prior to school?
I wish so much, because when I see younger people who are like getting this training, I'm like, wow. So meditation and mindfulness has indeed changed my life. But I found it after that first year of grad school. So that first year of grad school, again, I'm 44. We've moved across country. My husband and I had never lived outside of Minnesota. The butter was different. I mean, don't get me started about that. I mean, like, seriously, it was like one of those things where I'm like,
where am I?
Yeah, and grocery stores, the whole thing. And so that first year, oh boy, like,
stop. So wait, where did you move to?
Reno, Nevada. So I went to the University of Nevada, Reno, which is actually a very good school. And I didn't know that either. Anyways, but I wanted to go because they had the Sanford Center for Aging, which they still do, which is on campus and a part of the university, but they have they do research that they call translational research. So it's like, I do research and then it goes into the community. They do education, like community education, but they also educate undergraduates about aging. And so I knew I wanted to be a part of that. So I was lucky enough to be hired by them as a grad student. But I'll back up. So that first year, I just even thinking about it, like, you saw me shake my hands. I was like, oh my God. Yes. So being that stressed, I went back to all of my old habits. I had quit smoking. I started smoking cigarettes again. Like, what? Like, oh my God. And I, like, my drinking went up. My sugar consumption, I was eating Sour Patch Kids for the first time in my life, and hand to God, have not since. Like, it was that first year. Like, I just was like,
you were a student. You were in that student mindset.
Oh my God. I just needed the Sour Patch Kids. I think I might have said Cabbage Patch Kids, but Sour Patch Kids. And so then, I was talking to someone at work. I'd been hired by the Sanford Center, and I was talking to a friend, and I was like, I am so stressed. I'm this and that. And she was like, have you ever thought about meditation? I was like, I will literally try anything. I will try anything. And so I took my first mindfulness-based stress reduction course, which is an 8-week evidence-based, course on you meet 2 hours a week and learning how to meditate. And what it did is it didn't take away the stress, but it changed how I related to the stress. So then I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff is wild, and it's here, and it's in our body, and we can access it. And so then I started training and studying to be, to teach mindfulness-based stress reduction. And then in the course of that, I met some people and was able to get a grant to study with the Center for Mind-Body Medicine and actually be certified with them to teach their course.
Fantastic. All right. So you said it didn't take away the stress, but it changed the way you related to it. In what way?
Well, so what I was able to do, and this is the power of mindfulness, is that, we have these like knee-jerk reactions, right? So it's like, here's something happens, and this is how I react to it. And mindfulness gives us this, and for people who are just listening, I'm just moving my hands apart, from being like right close together to farther apart, because it gives you that space so that you can have a response versus a reaction. So then I can have like curiosity and go, okay, so my heart is beating fast, my brow is furrowed, and I'm noticing that I'm reaching for my phone or reaching for those Sour Patch Kids. And then I can say, like, is this really what's going to help me? Because you're paying attention. And lo and behold, when you start paying attention, you start getting different cues like drink some water, take a nap, go for a walk, so call a friend. And so it's in that pause is how it was. So then I had more choices versus just those kind of ingrained, like I'm stressed and this is what I do.
Yeah, your knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Completely get it. You took to it right away because the first, I don't even know how many times, I don't want to say the first few times, like first more than a few that I tried meditation, I thought I would jump out of my skin. I mean, I was so uncomfortable. Like, how long do they want me to do this? When is this going to end? Am I supposed to not be thinking? Oh my gosh, now I'm thinking about this and now I'm down here and I'm over there. And they want me to focus on my breath. I forgot all about that. Like, it took me a lot of trial and error for me to find eventually what worked for me initially to try and get me a little more relaxed and comfortable. And, since then, now I've been able to try different types of meditation or meditation too, when the meditation didn't work. So no. But so you didn't have that issue. I mean, I don't think I'm alone in finding it difficult at first.
No, not at all. I mean, what I liked about it is that it helped me see the habit patterns of my mind, right? So, I would sit there and I'd be like, I'm doing it. And then my teacher was like, as soon as you think I'm doing it, then you're out of it. Right. So for me, it was I was able to have a sense of humor, like almost right away about like this mind of mine, because when I started becoming still, I was like, wow, I'm either judging or I'm planning, judging, planning. Nonstop judging myself, judging other people, judging, and all of, so like it was just that, and then, or I was planning like what's next and whatever. And I will tell you, so in mindfulness-based stress reduction, they start the practice is to start with a body scan. So kind of just paying attention to sensations in the body and moving from one part to the other. Well, that starts with left big toe, and then it ends with right big toe. And I would invariably fall asleep at left knee and wake up at right shoulder. And I would be like, yes, I'm almost done with my homework. Like, so no, I was not immediately like at peace. I was like, I am a good student. So like I did my homework. And part of the homework was to do this 45-minute meditation practice, 6 days a week, 5 days, 6 days a week. So I would fall asleep and I'd be like, yes.
45 minutes right out of the gate.
Yeah. That's their thing. Yeah. It's interesting.
Is that something that you're able to do on a daily basis? Do you devote 45 minutes a day, every day?
I am a set 20 minutes. And that's actually what research shows that it changes your brain pathways. I also learned transcendental meditation, not to teach it, but just to experience it. And transcendental, they have 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. So that's my goal. I usually am 20 minutes in the morning pretty consistently.
That's pretty funny because I also learned transcendental meditation. And when I first started, the morning was easy, but for whatever reason, finding that time later in the day, I found really difficult. And I got myself so nuts because I'm a good student too. And I'm like, I can't make this work. I would be at work and I'd be like, okay, everyone, I'm going into the kitchen. I'm closing the door. Nobody bother me. Then my dog was barking. Why can't I come in there with you? And then I heard the phone ring a lot. And I was like, okay, forget it. I can't do this. And then when I get home, it was, whatever dinner time, whatever was going on at home. And so I had to give it up. Like I had to just give myself permission to say, it's okay. 20 minutes in the morning is better than nothing. And if it's only 10 minutes, that's better than nothing. And, all of that. But the silence or the mantra that you're just repeating with transcendental meditation was a departure for me, because the thing that I found helpful initially, what I realized was I liked someone talking to me throughout most of it. And so you go to transcendental meditation and that's gone. But I do find, like I said, it's an evolution in practice.
Absolutely. And I don't want to get it twisted. Like there are days, Debbie, that when I sit down to meditate, it is a jumbled mess in my brain, and it's like shoot, shoot, shoot. And so it and then there are moments of like deep peace and calm, but I can access that throughout my day a lot easier because of the practice, right? And so there's a quote that I love, and I won't have it fully, but it's that we practice not to become good meditators, but to meet the rest of our life. So it's like as things come at you, you're like, okay, I can take a couple deep breaths. I can, feel my feet on the floor and go, all right, what's next?
Yeah. Find that pause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before you react. Yeah. Agreed. So how did you get into, it says you are interested in aging, death, dying, grief. And okay, so those kind of all go together. And body image. Where's the connection, or how did that happen?
Well, it's my natural kind of inclination. But when I look at it, and I kind of had felt it was, very separate buckets too, but it's something that we all share, right? We're human. We have a container. We're going to experience loss. So then we're going to experience grief. And then if we're lucky, we experience aging. And so, those are that it's like that humanity, like common human factor. Common humanity. And so that's the thread for me. And yeah.
And when you're working with people, so how does, do you use the mindfulness techniques differently in each bucket, or is it pretty much the same?
That's a great question. I do like to say all roads lead to mindfulness, and I would say yes, it would be similar techniques. If I'm talking with people who are caregivers, and that is, and I know from your story too, that you did a lot of care partnering. And so, and in that, like you said, you're going from work to care to this to that. I really emphasize then kind of informal meditation techniques. So when you're washing your hands, just pause and feel, be present and feel that. So because when we're so on the go, then, that 20 minutes there, yes, it's helpful, but also it can seem really impossible. So depending on, who I'm talking to and about what, and then I'll emphasize different things, but they're all in there. And so, and also for body, I might focus more on like a compassionate body scan, or how do we stop being so angsty or mean about this container we're in, especially as women, I'd say. And I mean, not that men don't struggle as well, but they do. And then for like aging and grief, I mean, grief is just such a tender personal thing that it's like, how do you show up? How do you continue to show up and give yourself compassion? So I might like emphasize certain things, but it's all, it's all the same.
Yeah. I have to tell you, there's so many things that personally that I'm, I guess, always dealing with. And so it's a little under a year and a half now that I've been a widow, a year and 4 months, but who's counting? And so tomorrow would actually have been our 30th anniversary.
Oh.
And, I find that leading up to these, of course, this is now my second anniversary without Gary, but the fact that it would have been our 30th, makes it more significant. And I'm finding that this time I'm like, okay, so next week would have been our anniversary, last week. Okay, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And I thought I was, whatever, fine. And this morning I had something else on my mind. And I know we didn't talk about this, but, after I meditate, I have, for me, another thing I've really discovered and has given me a whole new life is journaling. And I sat down and I had something completely different on my mind. And the first thing I wrote down on the page is, tomorrow would have been our 30th anniversary. And I literally said, I have to make sure to journal today because I've got this thing on my mind, which was not my anniversary.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, I'm hysterical crying this morning, reliving all this stuff that I didn't even know was in there. I was not thinking about that, during meditation and stuff. And so what I've found, and I've lost my dad and other people. So I've grieved before, but with a spouse, I'm finding it quite different. And it's just amazing how it just gets you when you're not expecting it.
Yes. And you brought up, thank you for sharing that story. I mean, my heart is really tender for you as you're talking about that, because it is that time. And so grief is unexpected. Grief does show up out of, quote unquote, out of the blue. Even though you're mentally prepared, there's something in the body that's reacting. And also obviously the subconscious. But I want to just normalize something for you that, in my research, most people say that the second year is the hardest, because the first year people are aware. It's oh, it was his birthday. Oh, it was year this. Oh, it's the first Christmas. And then all of a sudden the second year, everyone else is back to their normal lives. And then you're oh, but it is this. So are you doing anything to support yourself tomorrow, or to celebrate you, or?
So I have tried to make it a point every couple of months of having a massage. And last time when I was there, she looks at the calendar. She's like, okay, well, that would bring us to May 8th. And I went, well, I don't know. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Yes, this is what I should be doing for myself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I have some work stuff to do, and I decided that it's better for me to do that. I think it's good to keep busy when I feel like it, but I don't have a very busy day.
Gotcha.
And then I have that at 5:00. So, yeah.
Yeah, body work is super supportive. I'm glad that you'll have that tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So just switching gears quickly, the other thing that you said that really cracked me up, that you said, as women having body image issues, and men can too. I'll never forget. So since I'm talking about Gary, so he was overweight. He had a big belly and then those little teeny skinny legs.
Okay.
And I'm just the opposite. I got the big fat legs. And from the minute that we were together, I was always amazed that he would just be happy walking around naked. Me, I was covering up any second I could, any and every second. And I would look at him and think, good for him. Why is he like that? And I know, we're together. He knows what it's all about here. Why am I still covering everything up every possible minute? I'm turn around, and from the minute I met him, he's out there with his, in his full glory.
Now, did that shift for you the longer you were together? You were together for...
Really. I guess over time, I still, you know what? My cousin and I joke, I don't like to be naked with myself. Literally. The second I'm oh my gosh, where's my nightgown? Where's my bathroom? Let me cover up. But nobody's there. So no, it hasn't changed even when I'm solo.
Well, we'll need to have a whole nother conversation about that.
We're going to need part 2 because our time is coming to an end. But give me your thoughts.
When we have house guests or something, I'm always oh, and no one's there. I'm like, I can't wait to just get out of my house. I mean, I don't walk around necessarily nudie pants, but like, certainly I want the bra off. And if I can be in anything comfortable, but I like it. I just feel more, I don't know. I would always rather be naked.
That's so good. I'm so jealous of that. I'm so jealous of that. I remember, this is probably way TMI. Even though I wouldn't sleep naked, he's like, you really have to wear your underwear to bed? Like, is that comfortable? As I'm picking him out of my, bike, it's like, what?
Well, I will say this. I do like wearing they're called Woxers. Look them up for like women boxers, Woxer, Woxer. I'm not paid to endorse them, but I love them. But that's what I sleep in. Just so I always want my bottoms covered at night, but not the top. So
yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I love this, Debbie. So
well, clearly, you said beforehand, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. Never.
I love it.
Talk about that we were going to be talking about this. So really, I have to ask you to come back because we've only scratched the surface. My show is only a half an hour long. I need to have it an hour when I have wonderful guests like yourself, and a half hour so people don't have to listen to me go on for an hour. Maybe I have to go. So as unfortunately, we have to wrap up this quick talk. One, I hope you'll come back again. And two, please share with everyone where they can find you, about your show, your website, and all the things you offer.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes, I will definitely come back. My website is CC, so the letter CC, and then the word with Dr. T. So ccwithdrt.com. And that's my show is Creating Connection with Dr. T. And I'm also on Transformation Talk Radio on the first and third Wednesdays of every month at 10 a.m. Pacific, 12 Central, and 1 Eastern. And this has been a delight. I can't wait till you're on my show, and I will definitely come back. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. And we will book a date right away. And thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next week.
Woohoo.
Thanks for spending part of your day with me here on Maybe I Can, exploring possibilities one sprinkle at a time. It's been great having you, and I hope you're leaving with a spark to light up your journey to more. Remember, every big change starts with a single maybe. If you're ready to kickstart that change but not sure where to begin, I've got just the thing for you. Head over to download my free guide, The One Critical Step to Kickstart Change, and take that all-important first step. Let's make those maybes into reality one sprinkle at a time. Catch you next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific with more stories, tips, and that extra push you might need. I'm Debbie saying goodbye for now, but always remember, maybe, just maybe, you can.